Hey y'all, it's Caroline from Title Interiors. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and enable those notifications so you can know anytime we make a new video. Today I wanted to show you this Serena and Lily headboard dupe that I just finished. I've been eyeing the Serena and Lily bed for quite some time now, but the entire bed is $4,000. So I thought, okay, maybe just the headboard. And that is still super expensive. So I decided, that's not that hard. I can make this. I've been doing some thrifting and I found this king size headboard for only $30 at our local Habitat Restore. The panels I knew would just be perfect for adding the caning. I thought that I might be able to remove some of the trim and turn it into 3 panels instead of 6, but it didn't work out that way because, surprise, this bed is actually well constructed. So I got it home, cleaned it with some TSP, and then sanded it lightly to get some of the sheen off of it and let the bed take the paint a little bit better. After I sanded it, I used a tack cloth to get rid of all of the dust. I taped off the inside of the panels so that the inside of the panel would remain dark and could be seen through the caning for a more multi-dimensional look. I didn't want everything to be the same color. Then I primed it with a Zinsser shellac based primer. Now this is my favorite primer to use. The shellac helps keep the darker colors from bleeding through, all of those tannins that you see bleeding through light paint on furniture, and it looks just kind of dirty and grimy. So this is my favorite primer to use for that reason, because it really blocks all of those from coming through, especially when you're using white paint over a dark finish that has been previously applied. After I primed, I lightly sanded it again with about a 120 grit sandpaper, did the tack cloth again, and then I used 4 coats of milk paint. Now, the color that I have here is actually a custom color that I made, and it's a combination of Snow White and Alabaster, both by General Finishes. Their milk paint is not a true milk paint, but it works extremely well. Now, most people will say that it's self-leveling and you don't need to sand in between coats. However, I do like to sand just a little bit. Regardless of whether it's self-leveling or not, there's still going to be a little high point and a little rough spot. So you make your own choice on that one. So I did 4 coats of the General Finishes milk paint. I did 2 coats of the Minwax Polycrylic. I like the polycrylic because it's water-based, so it's super easy to clean up. And it also doesn't yellow like polyurethane. Polyurethane is oil-based, so it's going to be much harder to clean up, and it does tend to yellow over time. After those 2 coats, I removed the painter's tape that I used to mask the interior, and then I could apply the caning. This is a radio weave caning, and it has more of a grid-like pattern rather than the hexagon type pattern you see on most traditional caning. I like the traditional caning, however I wanted something that had a little bit more of a relaxed island feel, and the hexagon caning can look a little bit more traditional. Again, that's totally up to your preference. You want to soak the caning in water for about 20 to 30 minutes so it doesn't roll as easily, and it's a lot more pliable, easier to work with. After it dries, it does get a little bit more taut. So if you get something, if you cut it to a point that it's not quite wide enough, it will shrink just a little bit and it will become more noticeable. I tried a couple of different ways of applying this. I first used a pneumatic stapler, which was a bust because it just kind of shattered all of the caning, and regardless of what PSI I had it set to, it just cut right through it. After that, I tried hot glue. However, the hot glue dried too quickly to work with. My final solution, which was successful, was using wood glue. I did a little bit around the perimeter and then some in the middle, just to make sure that every part was adhered well and there were no ripples. I then made a little bit of a frame around the edge with some sheets of staples, and that way I could put a book on top and put some weights on there, and then it would evenly distribute the pressure and keep the whole thing nice and smooth. I had to let the wood glue dry for 24 hours for it to truly adhere, and it worked extremely well. I then used cane banding. You get it in a large roll and it's not that expensive, maybe $15. You can also get that off of Amazon, and I'll link it below. But it comes in a super long roll and it has way more than you'll probably ever need, but it's really easy to work with. Again, you soak it just like the webbing, and then it's far more pliable and it's not rounded and trying to bend when you're trying to flatten it onto the piece of furniture. After I hot glued down the banding, we were finished. I was able to just peel off any little pieces of hot glue strings that were sticking off, and now I have a Serena and Lily dupe headboard for $100 rather than $4,000. Again, I got the headboard for $30 at the Habitat Restore. All of the paint, tack cloth, polycrylic, all of that together was about $40, and it didn't really take a whole lot. And then the caning supplies came up to about $30. So for $100 all in, plus a couple of days of sporadic labor, it just does take a little while just to make sure that all of the coats of paint are dry, that the wood glue is dry. You've got a really on-trend headboard that's not expensive. You can look for headboards like these at local thrift stores. I've seen some similar to this at Ashley Home Furniture, and it looks high-end. It doesn't look like I just used some plywood and put some caning on there and stuck it on the wall. It's actually a piece of furniture that I'm proud of, and for this price, if I want to get rid of it in a couple years, so be it. So tell me, what project are you going to do with caning? It's super easy. I want to see what you do. So tag us on Instagram, leave some comments below, and as always, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to watch some more easy how-to videos, click right up here. All right, have fun. You can do this.